So basically, the questions could be why, what, how, and these sets of fundamental questions going to come up, and how can we handle those questions? Yeah. So the first step, or I break it down in three major steps. So the first step is, the first is preparation. So let's say I am presenting for a project proposal, and that's, let's say, a first step of a master's thesis, and I have made an idea of a project. I made some homework, and I'm going to present. So this is, for example, for our students, let's say this is the phase one defense. And so one thing we need to do is we have to present this presentation to some of our friends who is not a part of the project. So let's say I ask one of my friends who is not in my group, but I ask him or her that I would like to make a rehearsal with you. Would you mind like giving me 10-15 minutes to watch and then ask me questions? So when you make a presentation in front of your friend and let him or her ask as many questions as it comes to their mind, and more often than not, 70% of those same questions you're gonna face in your defense. And why is that? Because when you make those presentation slides, it's actually you are creating those questions. Your slides is the primary factor that's going to create those questions in your audience mind. So basically, you really can control what questions going to come up. So that even if you don't know what questions going to come up, but if you make a rehearsal, you can at least guess around 70% of the common questions that might come up. So that's one. So you rehearsed, so that's good. You got some feedback, and at the same time you got some questions, and that's very good, because now take those questions. So you already estimated and make some estimation like what other questions might come up, and then you think about them, and then try to rearrange your presentations in a way that if some of the questions you think might be very difficult for you to answer, you can actually rearrange your presentations in a way that those questions doesn't appear. That's a little bit of advanced level. It's not so easy to do all the time, but it's possible. Now, what people normally do is, if something is a little bit of like what Asi was saying, you have a story and you know the story very well. Along your story, let's say you're telling a story that you have been to Cox's Bazaar and you did this and you traveled around, but maybe when you are buying the tickets to the Cox's Bazaar, your friends did all the arrangements. So don't try to talk about that how you bought the ticket or how you arranged the hotel, because you didn't do this, you don't know. So maybe when you are telling the story, don't focus too much on how you arranged the trip rather than the things that happened in the trip. So that's kind of like a preparation and arrangement that you can actually do in your story to avoid some of those, like let's say, area that you are not very confident enough. Second, you can estimate questions very well, like from rehearsal, or just let's say if you are presenting about let's say a solar panel, like a charge controller. So people's gonna commonly ask you, you can guess that why you design, what is the cost of your charge controller, why you need to do this charge controller, because what others people have done, do you have any idea what others people have done? What are the like things that is available in the market? How much, like if you go for a commercial production, how much is gonna cost? What is your application? What are the new things that you have addressed in your product or your project? How you design. So things like this is a very common question, and so before your presentation, think about these common questions, and also think about some possible answers that you're gonna give. Many times I have seen in our thesis defense, when we ask a question, you just like your facial expression says that you are just out of the blue, but that was a very common question, expected question, and you could have easily estimated that before. Next is the perception. So what perception you give to your audience Your audience could be a general audience. It could be your supervisors or any external guests. Important is what perception, what they are thinking about you. So many times what we try to do is we start answering before understanding the question. So it's perfectly fine if you don't understand the question, you can ask. Not let's say three times, but maybe one time, like I didn't get your question. Could you please repeat? That's perfectly fine. Nobody minds. And you try to understand, and you can even say, okay, are you asking me that what would be the expected budget of this project when I gonna roll out for the whole Bangladesh market? Is it your question? So you can get a confirmation. That's fine because that gives you some time to process your answers, and you are also getting a confirmation from the interviewer or the audience that that's the question. Okay, now that you have got the question, be honest. Don't, if you don't know the answer, don't try to fake it. Don't try to say things that you don't know and just guess it might be right or wrong. It's very, very important that you say, okay, that's a very, very good question that Biplov Kandida should say that show respect. That's a very good question. And I think that makes a lot of sense. But unfortunately, I think we haven't thought about that avenue, but thank you very much. You gave me a really nice idea. I think we should definitely work on this and make our product better and have a very good estimate of the budget when we're gonna launch our product. So you, let's say you honestly don't know the answer, but you admit it and try to say something, not just get like bogged down and just don't answer. No, you have to have the communication going. You show the respect, thank the questioner for asking such a nice question because they have integrated a new idea. And when you do this, it means that you are not doing a project just for this presentation. You actually are thinking about it and you're going to move forward. And you are taking all this experience from this presentation with you to make your project better. So that actually going to create a very positive impression to the audience, even if when you don't know the answer. And of course, when we present, we should know the answer and we should be having a lot of homework about all those avenues. What I am saying is somehow if there is a lack, how to make that up. But the best thing is to have those information, think about of those points before and be ready. Okay, and then also if sometimes there are people that's going to ask a question which you feel is very irrelevant and it's nothing to do with the presentation today, but that's fine. You have to be very acceptable because you are now in the receiving end and just be like, oh, okay, thank you very much. I think that's a very, very open-ended question which needs a lot of discussion and can actually create we need a like a more time to go into this, but I think that's a very nice point of view. And maybe later after the presentation, if we have some time, we can catch up and talk about it. So you make a real-time adjustment and with a very respectful and a nice posture, even if you are not really liking the question, but you should never show this to your audience because as somebody who generated a question, that question actually you brought yourself to their mind. So you are yourself to blame. So you have to be very respectful and be very open to all the possibilities. Okay. And then this is for me is like very, very important. When we present and when we answer, we have to show that we believe in it. We believe in the idea, we believe in the product, we believe in what we are saying. So it has to come from our enthusiasm. We need to have a very high energy, and when we talk, even if we don't know, but I mean when we show enthusiasm, we show that I am not in a very good place right now, but I'm going to work on it. I'm going to get better and better because I really want to do this. That has very, very different impact on the reviewer, questioner, audience. So whatever we say, we have to believe in it. And 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 even if you are doubtful, you have to project that confidence. Projection, like my second point, the projection is when we project our confidence, our belief to the audience, and that's very important. And the focus. This is Vipro also said that when somebody asks you a question, don't go like we call it bushing around, that we don't answer the like in many talk shows. I sometimes somebody asks a question, very simple question, and I think even if after listening for 10 minutes, I don't think I got the answer. So I think that's people do this maybe in a talk show is fine, but when people ask you, have you had any improvements compared to the literature or state of the art in your project or in your work, you say, yes, I did exactly like 3 improvement. I tried to use this particular model to minimize the, let's say, the energy consumption rate. So that have increased the efficiency of my whole system. While in the state of the art, it was 89%, mine is around 92%. I have reduced the cost by using copper instead of iron, and using that particular casing, I have actually reduced the cost and also the load. And then also I try to make the circuitry simple, so the number of equipments required is at least 10% less than the state of the art ones. So this is very precise answer, and as somebody that knows, the audience will know that, okay, you know what you are talking about, and you have just given them what they wanted to listen. Yeah, so having that focus in your answer is very important. So I think this is I mean, the question answering thing is a little bit tricky. I mean, it's hard to tell you all those tips and tricks, but the main point that I want to make is this is you, your personality, the way you prepare, the way you handle a situation, and the way your mind works in real time will give you that dream performance in a question answer. But never underestimate that the preparation for the question answer. Yeah, maybe now I'm gonna switch to Bangla a little bit. So I think this was my main point of view for question answer, and I hope tomorrow we will see some of the examples from you how you handle the question answering session. But I mean, I just 3 days ago I made a presentation. Not 3 days. I think 1 week ago I made a presentation for a project grant for. My presentation was 12 minutes, and then there was a questioning for 48 minutes, and there was question after question after question, and I tried to be very composed while always laughing and very energetic and be very respectful to everyone. And I hope, and finally I got the project at the end. And so I can tell you that all these things that I had said, I made a preparation like that. I knew what questions are coming. I had the answers ready in my mind, and I think I went through well. So if you follow such things, I think you might get benefited.